I'd like to ask Reverend James Hunt to come forward, please, to do our invocation. Reverend Hunt is the Reverend for New Hope Christian Community Church.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you, Mayor and trustees and officers. Thank you for the privilege and honor of giving this invocation this evening. Can we pray? Wonderful God, our Father, we gather as community to welcome your divine presence in this meeting this evening. We thank you for being our refuge and our strength, as well as a very present help in times of trouble. We give you praise, honor, and glory for your tender mercies which are new each day and provide new hope to sustain us. Now, Lord, we pray that everything accomplished this evening is done for your glory. And so we ask your blessings on our mayor, our trustees, our chief of police, and all other officers in the work of leading this wonderful village. Give them the courage to do your will. Give them the devotion to love your will. And give them the wisdom and discernment to know your will. Now, Father, we are mindful of the world that we live in, a world that is beset by a global pandemic and social unrest. And so we find it helpful and instructive to pray these same words that Dr. King shared so many years ago, and is appropriate even now, that in these days of emotional tension, when the problems of the world are gigantic in extent and chaotic in detail, please give us penetrating vision. Please give us broad understanding. Please give us the power of endurance and abiding faith, and save us from the paralysis of crippling fear. And so, oh God, we ask you to help us to work with renewed vigor for a warless world and for a brotherhood that transcends race or color. Finally, my brothers and sisters, whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable, whatever is of good report, if anything is excellent and praiseworthy, let us think about these things. And the God of peace will be with you all. And it's in the wonderful and the magnificent and the majestic name of Jesus we declare it all. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Reverend Hunt.
Thank you.
Could we all please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before I go into the roll call, I just want to thank all the residents. It's wonderful to see everyone with a mask, following the rules, as far as I'm concerned anyway. I think it's very important that we have one. I see the spacing between the people. Thank you all very much for that. Now we'll go to roll call. Tanisha?
Trustee Blue?
Yes.
Trustee Gonzalez? Here. Trustee Horn?
Here.
Trustee Razik?
Present.
Trustee Wilson?
Present.
Trustee Udris?
Present.
Okay, we'll move on to open to the public, agenda items only. If you have something you'd like to say about the agenda, please come forward now. Okay, we will now move on to the consent agenda, which has the minutes of the regular board meeting on the 24th of June, our payroll ending 6/6 and our payroll ending 6/20. And even after that, it says bills, and then if anyone wants to remove anything from the consent agenda. Could I please have a motion on the consent agenda?
I'll make that motion, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, and I'll put you as second, Janet, or whatever Denisha did there. If you want ladies first, that's the way it goes. Any discussion on the consent agenda? If not, roll call, please.
Trustee Gonzalez?
Yes.
Trustee Horn?
Yes.
Trustee Razik?
Yes.
Trustee Wilson?
Yes.
Trustee Udris?
Yes.
Trustee Blue?
Yes.
Thank you all. We'll move on to the clerk's report. Denisha?
Thank you, Mayor Pop. Really quickly, just wanted to give updates on the census as well as early voting. So as of right now, Illinois as a whole has completed 66.7% as far as the census is concerned. For Will County, 74.1%, and Monee alone has 73.8%. So we have a larger response than Illinois overall, which of course we'd like to be able to get that up even higher, because as of all of the cities that are in Illinois, we are actually listed as 298 in the ranking. So if we can get those numbers up, that will be awesome. Secondly, just wanted to report on early voting. Of course, we don't know exactly what's going to be going on coming October. General Election Day is Tuesday, November 3rd, 2020. The early voting hours that have been set aside as of now are Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday. So that's October 26th through the 30th from 9:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. Thursday, October 29th from 1 p.m. to 6 p.m. And Saturday, October 31st from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. These, of course, are times that are just set for now, and we'll just keep things, keep informed of what's going on. If there's anything different, anything we need to change, then we'll make sure to communicate that. End of report.
Thank you, Denisha.
Excuse me, Mayor, I've got a question. Denisha, when is the census, when is it over? When do we have to sign up by?
When do you have to complete signing?
Yeah.
Well, as of right now, they're just trying to see if they have to get people on foot, as many people as can go online. So they haven't given the definitive as of yet.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, we'll move on to my report. The first thing I'd like to say very quickly is that a thank you to Riverside Immediate Care. They are the ones that are running the COVID testing. So that's, I deeply appreciate that for the people of Monee and surrounding area, whatever it may be. So a thank you to Riverside's Immediate Care. Also, I want to mention that, well, I don't want to get in on a big kick about this coronavirus, but it's so important, and I have to tell you, I'm physically afraid to say something to someone that doesn't have a mask on. They could, number one, hit me, number two, shoot me. It's terrible, because you can't say too much. At least you don't want to. So I just ask you to tell your friends to please wear them when you know you can talk to them, and spread the word. If they're not wearing them, be polite and stay friends. Let them know they need to wear one. It jeopardizes everybody's health. Okay, I'll get off of that right now, and I want to move on to, I want to tell you that we've instituted numerous programs to help residents and businesses in the village of Monee. Some are financial and just, well, the bulk of them are financial. But anyway, when Administrator Wallace gives his report, he'll give you a detailed list of all that. At this time, I'd like to have Chief Kerner to come forward and do a presentation for us.
It worked. First step is complete. Thank you, Mayor, for allowing me to speak tonight. There are times that we at the police department are involved in a large degree of training, of mission planning, of putting together our objectives to not only make our communities safer, but to communicate with our communities and to make us a welcome entity within our communities. And I think we've done a pretty good job there. But there's something that we've also done, another step that we've taken, that I wanted to tell you about. And we did this a while back, and shame on me, we kind of did it in-house. I think now is a good time to explain exactly what we did. And a little history on this is back in 2016, the NAACP and the Illinois Chiefs of Police got together, and they started a series of meetings. And these meetings were dedicated to formulating a plan that would improve relations with the police and the communities, specifically communities of color. And there was about 8 or 9 of those meetings held throughout the state with the leaderships. And I attended the one in Peoria probably about 18 months ago. and they were rolling out what they call the 10 shared principles. And the 10 shared principles are now becoming a mission of over 200 police departments within the state of Illinois. It is a signed resolution, a resolution that was agreed upon by the Illinois Chiefs and the NAACP to try and improve our relationships. And as I said, this was 2016. So Illinois has actually been a little bit ahead of the curve on this. And I would like to tell you that we in Monee, I sat down with my supervisors when I came back from Peoria, and we looked at these 10 shared principles, and I was kind of like, we do this. This is already a part of our mission. This is a part of our community-oriented policing plan, our program. They've just put it in a different format. Well, now I want to tell you what their format is, because we have adopted this, and it is a part of our mission. And every officer within the department has been through the training now, within the department has signed off on their support of these 10 shared principles. So let me say this, the first principle is we value the life of every person and consider life to be the highest value. Secondly, all persons should be treated with dignity and respect. We reject discrimination toward any person that is based on race, ethnicity, religion, color, nationality, immigrant status, sexual orientation, gender, disability, or familial status. Furthermore, we endorse the 6 pillars in the report of the President's Task Force on Policing. The first pillar is to build and rebuild trust through procedural justice, transparency, accountability, and honest recognition of past and present obstacles. We endorse the 4 pillars of procedural justice: fairness, voice, transparency, and impartiality. We endorse the values inherent in community policing, which include community partnerships involving law enforcement, engagement of officers with residents that are not specifically law enforcement interactions. We believe that developing strong, ongoing relationships between law enforcement and communities of color at the leadership level, as well as the street level, will be the keys to diminishing and eliminating racial tension. We believe law enforcement and community leaders have a mutual responsibility to encourage all citizens to gain a better understanding and knowledge of the law, to assist them in their interactions with law enforcement officers. We support diversity within police and law enforcement. We encourage and have a responsibility and should work together to make an effort to recruit diverse police departments throughout the nation. And we believe de-escalation training should be required. It is, by the way, required in Illinois. It ensures the safety of community members and officers. We endorse using de-escalation tactics to reduce the potential for confrontations, and the principle that human life should be taken only as a last resort. It is the mutual affirmation to work together and stand together in our communities to replace mistrust with mutual trust whenever and however we can. And that's the Reader's Digest version of what you see up there, if you can see that, because I certainly can't. But I hope that I got the 10 points across, and I just want this board and our community to know that this police department is not sitting on its hands. It is making a diligent effort to work with, associate with, and be a part of our community. Mayor, all yours.
Thank you, Scott. I have to say that as mayor, I'm very blessed to have Chief Croner in charge of the police department. The way he runs it and his officers they're top notch. I mean, before I ever became a trustee, I went right through the light at Egyptian Trail and Monee Road, I'll call it. I can't believe I did it. I had my daughter in the car, and obviously the lights went on. Policeman pulled me over. That's a bad intersection, and I went through it. And he says, "Can I see your driver's license?" He said, "Yeah." He says, "What happened if you went through that?" I says, "You know what? I was talking to my daughter, and there was a FedEx truck there, and I never knew there was an arrow on that name. If you ever look at it, and I forget exactly where it's at, but if you read FedEx, you'd see a white arrow. And I was talking to her about that when I went through the sign." Well, he said, "Be careful." Saw that I was a Monee resident. I don't know if that meant something, But like I say, I wasn't a trustee or anything, and he politely let me go. So I believe that's how our force works, and I believe that every department head that I have under me and my administrative officials, their ethics to go through this ceiling, they're great. They make my job easy. I look pretty good as a mayor. I'm very fortunate to have who I have. And Scott, as long as you were the one that presented that, thank you so much. Now move on to the administrator's report. David.
Thank you, Mayor. Chief Kerner, thank you, and the entire department for your proactive approach to law enforcement here. It's certainly recognized and most certainly appreciated. So, yep, Mayor, what I'd like to start out with is a report, a short report from Emergency Management Agency. I'm going to call them the silent agency. They're there. They're behind the scenes. They make everything happen in times of need and emergency. And basically for the month of June, just to give an overall overview of the department, they had 5 calls for service and had 2 training sessions and had 4 details. And so events to date are a total of 13, trainings to date are 10, and calls to date are 11. And it's important to know this is a volunteer organization, and yet they train on a regular basis, and they are meeting the needs of this community in every way that they are called upon to do so. Some special events recently included the personal protection equipment, the setup for the packaging of the PPE, that distribution of the PPE, along with many of you that participated in that, and the peaceful protest rally that took place on, I believe it was June the 6th, that they assisted in with the police department in the handling of everything. And I believe that that with everyone's cooperation, that's why things turn out peaceful and beneficial to all that are involved. So I'd just like to point out that they definitely work behind the scenes. As a matter of fact, the COVID-19 disaster response is being headed up by the director, Randy Ulaskis, for the Emergency Management Agency. And last but not least, all of our supplies are monitored weekly by between Public Works and the Emergency Management Agency. And just recently, we were able to receive an ultraviolet disinfectant light that could be used in many different situations should an infectious type virus like COVID-19 be recognized within the municipality, a municipal building. Gives them the opportunity to disinfect it totally and keep it safe for the employees as well as the residents. So just a little overview on that, Mayor, and I appreciate you indulging me on that. The first item I have on the agenda is the board action request for a park usage agreement. And basically, I've included the information for a park usage agreement submitted by Sandra Palermo, who wishes to hold a wedding reception at Sunrise Park, along with at her residence as well. And the permission requiring board action is as follows. She's requesting the closure of Apple Blossom Lane from Orchard Lane to Park Lane, and the neighbors are in agreement. She's made that clear to us. And also permission to play music until 11 p.m. And so under the action requested is, in fact, the motion to authorize the closure of Apple Blossom Lane between Orchard and Park Lanes. And secondly is permission granted to play music until 11 p.m. It's up for your board's consideration this evening.
I have to ask, is Sandra here? No, huh? Okay. Anybody have anything they want to say about that?
No, I'll make that motion, Mr. Mayor.
I have a question. It's probably more in line for Chief. What is our current local ordinance for noise violation?
Yeah,
Is it 10?
Yeah,
So
10 p.m.
I believe it's 10 p.m.
10?
Yes, sir.
Okay. No.
Yeah.
No.
And to clarify, The park will be used only up until dusk, so they'll be out by dusk on that and move it to her residence at that point.
Is it the entire park or just the grass area there?
I
Just,
don't have an answer to that.
If
I'm
I
sorry.
can say something, this is my neighbor, and she came to me, and I sent her to the board. So she's trying to use the park, the space next to the park, just the
Oh, okay.
opening to put tables there.
So her house is like contiguous to the park anyway?
Yes, so her
Excellent.
driveway goes right to it.
That was my question.
Yeah.
Well, Denisha, since you know her, do you know if the people going to the party will be wearing masks and things like that?
That I'm not sure, but I know it's just adults.
Do me a favor
No
and check
children.
with her.
Yes,
Tell her we'd love them to do that.
I can speak with that. Mayor and board, the event request came through the Parks and Recs Department, and Director Kroll has advised any users that the current social distancing and face coverings are required.
See what I mean about my department heads? They cover the things I even think need to be covered.
Diana?
Sometimes I need to be quiet.
Diana, do we have any of those bags left from June 6th? Handle.
Do we need a motion on this?
Yeah. Yeah.
First, we
I'll
have a
second,
motion.
Mr. Mayor.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any other discussion on this? If not, roll call, please.
Trustee Horn? Yes. Trustee Razick?
Yes.
Trustee Wilson?
Yes.
Trustee Udris?
Yes.
Trustee Blue?
Yes.
Trustee Gonzalez?
Yes.
Thank you very much. Diana, would you please make contact and that everything is passed? Thank you. Next item on the agenda is the Love Monee event application. Before you has been submitted an application by Provision Labs Incorporated to hold Love Monee in the municipal parking lot. I believe it's on July 25th. Please correct me if I'm wrong. The event application and the proposed layout has been attached for the board's review, and the time and duration of the event we will discuss and iron that out this evening as it was omitted from the application. I believe a representative from Provision Labs is present. Thank you, Kelly. If you would just explain what's taking place, the timeframes and so forth.
Sure. Thank you for having me.
bet.
And the actual event is August 1st.
Up.
July 25th is the shredding event. So we are looking at having a drive-through style this year. It will not be any of the other events. We will have a bloodmobile, but it is just a drive-through. None of the participants will be getting out of their cars. They will be hitting up 3 separate stations and picking up their boxes of food. So only the volunteers will be there putting the boxes into their cars. So we're estimating between 10 and possibly 2 o'clock, could be earlier.
What are the 3 stations, Kelly?
It'll be produce, non-perishables, and possibly dairy.
Anybody have any other questions?
I have questions, yes. Hi, Kelly.
Hi.
So this is an awesome event. I love the fact that we include so many of our churches, especially as well as all of the volunteers that come forward for it. I would love to see us at some point move this out to other locations in the village as well, mostly because we want to make this a true community event. We want to showcase other churches or other venues in the village. And I know when we spoke at one of the MAC meetings, Diana had a great idea, I think it was from New Lenox, where they held a station on each church in the parking lot. And just as an example, we've had food pop-ups at New Hope Church. So that's a great drive-through location as well. I would love to push it out to other locations. I just think it's more inclusive because you're giving people, if you did use the churches, you're giving people the opportunity to see that church, to speak to members of that church, even though they might be at this event, which will be hard to talk to because it's drive-through. But I would like to recommend that we think that through on future events.
I love the suggestion. But being a community event, we love the idea of it being centrally located.
Mhm.
It is a MAC-sponsored event, so all of the churches are included as well.
Mhm.
So I think they give great input, and some of them take leads in all of the event as well.
Yeah, and I understand that. What I'm suggesting, though, is that the people who come to the event will have the opportunity to go to other locations in the village. I don't know how many Monee residents attend it, it doesn't really matter. But the fact that other people come into the village, it would be nice to showcase other areas of our village as well. I did want to ask you, where are the other stations? So the shredding, you said
That's
on
going to
the-
be at St. Boniface.
That's on the 25th.
Mhm.
And then the blood drive?
That will be, it's marked on your sheet, so that'll be like where Diana's parking, or the parking lot is, where you park. Where's that?
Oh, by the community center.
Yeah,
right,
that's
yeah.
where it was last year as
Yeah,
well.
yeah,
Mhm.
okay. All right, thank you.
Sure. Thank you for your suggestion.
Thanks, Kelly.
Thank you.
So the action requested this evening is to authorize the use of the municipal parking lot and park grounds as locations for the Love Monee event.
Do I have a motion on that, please?
I'll second it.
Do we have a motion and a second?
Yes.
Any other discussion? If not, roll call, please.
Trustee Razick?
Yes.
Trustee Wilson?
Yes.
Trustee Udris?
Yes.
Trustee Blue?
Yes.
Trustee Gonzalez?
Yes.
Trustee Horn?
Yes.
Thank you very much. Item H3 on the agenda this evening has to do with the Monee utility bill, which we all commonly call the water bill. And if you can recall, at the onset of COVID-19, village officials here in Monee agreed to the following as it pertains to the utility bill within the village. They suspended all late charges on any past due accounts. They suspended all shutoffs of water for non-payment of bills. And the village absorbed the processing fees for any and all online payments. As the state of Illinois has entered Phase 4 in the Restore Illinois program, the Monee utility billing and payment parameters should be determined as part of moving forward. With that in mind, currently the late fees that have been waived and shutoffs that have been stayed by the village, and the credit card processing fees that have been absorbed, it's time to put a sunset date on those types of operations. And the staff is recommending the following benchmark dates for bringing all Monee utility accounts to a paid status. All Monee utility accounts, or water bills as we commonly call them, shall be due in full by the close of business November 30th, 2020. Late charges will begin again on any outstanding amounts beginning December 1st, 2020. Payment of credit card processing fees have yet to be determined by the village board, but will be determined prior to December 1st of 2020. Additionally, I would like to say that we have had great cooperation from the community. A lot of online payments have picked up, and due to COVID and the village hall being closed, but people have paid online. So it's been really very good. I would call on Superintendent Crizel to give me a number off the top of his head, but I won't put him in that spot on the number of past due accounts. But incredibly, it's not, it just isn't an overwhelming number at all. So Monee and the residents and the businesses have really held our own and done a great job in keeping up with these bills that are due. And we certainly appreciate it because the Village of Monee has bills that we have to pay as well. So with that in mind, the action this evening that staff is requesting is really not action other than a consensus by the village board for implementation of the above schedule that was just explained. Happy to answer any questions or continue any further discussion. No, just a consensus, that's all.
You report that?
No, it is not.
Okay. I didn't think it was.
Yeah. So,
Oh, good.
You want a verbal
we,
Yep.
or a thumbs up?
exactly, yes, please.
Yeah,
Does that sound reasonable
Yeah.
and
It's reasonable.
fair and equitable?
yes.
Thank you so much.
Sounds
We
reasonable.
we appreciate that, and again, I can't praise the residents and businesses enough for the cooperation that they've done. I would like to note that additionally, the village, later in this agenda, will address an item, but to go along with what we've done up to this point to assist in this difficult time, the village has authorized a 25% reduction on residential building permits through December 31st. They have issued a credit for the cost of a business license for 2021 businesses that were holding a business license as of 6/24 of 20. And additionally, most notably that goes undetected is that for the previous 2 years, the village has elected not to raise the tax levy. And although that doesn't sound like much individually, it is very big on the side of the village when we look at our revenue source. And I think it's through good budgeting and determination that each elected official has purviewed the budget and the needs of the community and have elected, and we've been able to sustain the 2-year freeze on the, I don't want to call it a freeze, but the 2-year in a row of not raising the tax levy. So with that being said, I just wanted to point out that the village really is doing their part. They're doing what they can do to assist our residents and businesses and to move ourselves forward. So with that, Mr. Mayor and the board, that concludes my report this evening.
Thank you very much, David.
Thank you.
We'll move on to the officials' report. Public Works, Trustee Horn.
Thank you, Mayor, and ladies and gentlemen, it's good to see you, even though I'm not really sure who you guys are, because I can't really tell with the mask. I think I recognize some of you, but could be wrong. The last day of Village of Monee branch pickup is on July 8th. Republic is still taking yard waste through November. I hope many of you have noticed on the east side of town, the painting is almost completed on the new 500,000 gallon water tower located on County Fair Drive, and that's looking really nice. Roadwork 2020 project is in full swing. I'm sure you've seen that. Curb and sidewalk replacements are completed, and Iroquois is out milling roadways in preparation for the new base and surface. And I'm sure you've noticed over on Main Street by the post office, it's looking really nice there and smart. This 2020 stormwater project has seen new storm piping on Main Street, Ollendorf Road, and Chestnut Road. The contractor has restoration work to complete. And information regarding scheduling for these projects are posted on the Village of Monee website and Facebook pages. They will be updated accordingly as all projects progress. Now, on my last item, I wanted to give you a little information here. I've seen a lot of wailing and gnashing of teeth on Facebook, on social media, about the water rates, and I want to go through briefly just the water rate increases and what they are used for. The village had its annual utility rate increase billings go out the week of July 1st. You all saw those. An explanation on how to read your utility bill can be found on the village website. These utility rate increases, which went into effect way back in late 2014, and we put that in the scheduling to have these increases. We started this back in 2014, have allowed the village to reinvest into its water and wastewater infrastructure by adding several new water mains, which many of them are very old in this town, I will say, especially in the center. A new well house, a new SCADA operating system, a new water tower, which you see being completed now, new village-wide water meters, which you all should have, and they were put in about 2 years ago, I believe. Upgraded sanitary lift stations, village-wide sanitary manhole structure repairs to reduce stormwater inflow and infiltration, thus reducing what Aqua Illinois charges the village for processing the village sanitary waste. These infrastructure repairs and upgrades have totaled over $8 million to date. So when we put this all in place back in 2014, the infrastructure of the water system was really needed upgrading. So we were proactive in taking care of that. Thus is why you see the water rates increase. No one is happy about that, of course, but it's some things that needed to be done. End of report.
Thank you, Doug. Move on to Parks and Recs. Trustee Wilson.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. First, we'd like to congratulate Joshua Lasik for winning our Village Graduating Senior Banner Contest. I'd like to thank everyone for submitting their pictures. Joshua is also one of the valedictorians at Monee High School and will be attending ISU in the fall. So again, congratulations to Joshua. The banners will be coming down, and some are already spoken for, but if you would like your child's banner, please contact Diana Kroll at dkroll@villageofmonee.org and submit your request. Monee Community Garage Sale is happening July 24th and 25th. There is no fee, and it's absolutely free. We just ask that you register before July 17th so that you could be on the list. And then that way everybody will be supplied a list of the garage sales that are available at the locations. That list it's going to be put together by July 17th, so submit your request by July 17th. Taekwondo karate classes have resumed, and other programming will be beginning soon. We are excited to announce we will be offering Zumba again, thanks to our new instructor, Jocelyn Pavlik, who will be teaching the class on Saturdays. So for those who like Zumba, Saturdays is your day. Fireman's Park building is available, and as we know, due to the COVID, it's going to be limited to 50 participants per party. So you can submit your request online, again, at dkroll@villageofmonee.org, or you can give her a call, 708-534-8302. Also, feel free to check out the villageofmonee.org website for updates and current postings. And also, don't forget the Facebook page. End of report, Mayor.
Thank you, Trustee Wilson. We'll move on to Finance. Trustee Blue.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As you know, the Finance Department has been keeping an eye on our revenue sources, especially because of the current situation with COVID-19. March, we realized the highest collection of sales taxes in the last 6 or 8 months. But since then, we have seen a steady decline. June, as reported, was reported as the lowest collection period, but traditionally June is a low collection period, so it's really hard to know if that's because of COVID or it's just the usual. But I wanted to mention that we are keeping a close eye on it, and I have no doubt that Mr. Bullen and Mr. Wallace will let us know if there's something specifically we need to be concerned about. But they are keeping an eye on it, so it's all going well at this point. That's the end of the finance piece. The comprehensive plan is still meeting. We had our steering committee, was it 2 weeks ago? I don't know, time flies. And the next steering committee is in August. Thank you to Trustee Gonzalez for attending the last one. It's always great to have elected officials at that. The next steering committee is in August, but we are really hoping to have an open house in September for our residents. I don't know how that will work. We might have to get creative, but we really do want an in-person open house, because if you could see some of the ideas that are coming out of these steering committees, you would be as excited as I am. It's so exciting. So I'm really hoping that we'll be able to do that, but we'll keep you posted on that. The Finance Committee Library, the Finance Library Committee meeting, the second one was this week also, and we were presented with 4 options from our councillors to what might be the best recommendation for our village, and the point being to look at getting a library facility of our own in Monee. And the committee made the decision that we believe that we want to follow our council's guidance and look at an intergovernmental agreement. And so the next step is for us to meet with Peatone Library System, a library district. We have reached out to them, and I'm hoping that members of the committee and Mr. Wallace will, I'm putting you on the spot there, I don't know if you're going to be there, but I guess you are now. With the president of the Peatone Library District, and then decide, what are his plans for us, and does that meet with what we're looking for as well. So just to keep you informed, that's where we're at. It's very early days, though. I'm excited, though. I personally would love a library facility in Monee. And last but not least, our beautification curb award appeal. As you know, we this is a first. It was inspired by our mayor. He came in one day and said, "That house is really cute, let's give him an award." And we said, okay, let's step back from that a little bit, and everybody else get a chance to take part in it. And so the beautification committee, it was so much of a team effort, Diana Cole and her department were awesome, and as was DJ, of course. He's on our committee as well. But they got together, put this award together, put it out there. We ran out of signs, and we ran out of signs again. Then we had, I took my sign and gave it to somebody else, and then I'm taking one of the other committee members. I mean, there was about 30 in the end, 31, I think, DJ, if that was right. And it was such a joy. I don't know if you did. You walk down the street, you see that great big sunflower, and you're like, that looks really cool. We had tons from your subdivision, Heidi, as well. Anyway, it is a joy. I'm really excited. I did invite our winners here tonight. I'd like to invite the mayor to come down. I don't know if you, with COVID, can you give them the yeah, you can.
I'd be glad to hand it to them along with you.
Okay, I'd be happy to do that. But if the mayor would come down, and I'd like to invite Josh and Grace to come up to collect their prize, please.
Janet, I don't know what you did, but I couldn't get them to come up here about a year or two ago.
Our babysitter.
I told him he won, that's probably why. So just to let you know, of all of the houses, they were, thank you, sir. They were, the judges were from the Monee Chamber of Commerce, so it was completely unbiased. We gave them the addresses, and off they went, and they had to get the scores in by the end of June. The points were out of 60, so we added them all up, and there was one house that got 60 points, and it was yours. So very well done. It's absolutely awesome.
And I might say it wasn't easy for you, because another house had 58.
Yes, indeed.
So congratulations, you guys.
Thank you.
It's good you took care of that fence to make it look better. You did it.
Thank you. Thank you. Well done again. Good job.
Can you guys give your addresses too, so if anybody didn't see the picture, they know where it is?
It's on.
It's the white picket fence. On Court Street. Yeah.
We'll touch them on it.
It's fine.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well done.
New Village Hall.
William Judge. Yeah, William Judge.
Sorry, post 2,
No.
Village Hall.
Is Leanne and Pete Stewart?
All right.
Oh, that. Leanne and Pete were a joint second, so they got 58 points.
Nice.
William Judge also got 58 points. That's how close it was. So we want to thank you. You live on Iris Lane. Yeah. Thank you so much. Your house is absolutely beautiful. And we'd like to present you this award, and Diana got the prizes there. Thank you.
All right.
I think she can take a picture.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure. If I don't bring a camera.
Thank you.
Okay, you
All right, great.
the dress is wonderful. You got something to Facebook as well. So go and see it. I mean, it certainly made me proud, and I'm sure you'll enjoy it. I love women. Everything. Thank you. End of report, ma'am.
Thank you, Janet. With that, we'll move on to Economic Development. Trustee Razik.
No report tonight, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, Anthony. Building Services, Trustee Udris.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First off, to the chief and the sergeants that I see that we have here today, I absolutely love this resolution here, and I really think that you guys go above and beyond carrying out every one of those points, and I thank you guys for all of your service. January 1st, the Chamber of Commerce had a meeting. Some of the highlights from that meeting: the July 18th Slammer game has been canceled for this year. We'll be looking to obviously set up a date next year and continue the tradition out there. Love Monee, as we talked about earlier, is scheduled for August 1st. Due to safety concerns, it's going to be just the drive-by food pickup like we talked about, and July 25th is going to be the shredding event. Also, Second Place Church again this year is going to be hosting the Global Leadership Summit. That's on August 6th and 7th, and you can go to Second Place Church's website to register for that. And as of right now, the Chamber golf outing in September is on hold, but has not yet been canceled as of the July 1st meeting. And the next Chamber meeting is scheduled as a Zoom meeting. That's going to be on Wednesday, August 5th at 5 p.m. And again, you can go to their website or their Facebook page for the Zoom contact if you'd like to attend that. Also, Noreen asked that I mention this. The Peatone Library District has reopened. It is with limited services during regular hours. That started July 6th. They are requiring face coverings, and for more information, you can visit their website, or you can call the library at 708-258-3436. They also are going to continue doing the curbside pickup for those that feel more comfortable with that. From Building Services, the month of June in Building Services, they issued 44 permits. The value for the permits for the month of June was $2,643,278. 21 homes went on the market and are scheduled for resale inspection. And again, just a friendly reminder to all building owners that the rental license renewals are required on or before August 1st of this year. License fees as follows: one or more rental housing units is $50 per unit. Please schedule the inspections on or before September 1st. And yearly occupancy inspections will be included with the renewals listed above. So lastly, a reminder from Building Services to please follow the codes and ensure that all our properties are maintained, making sure that our grass and weeds are cut, trimmed, and removed not to exceed 6 inches. And remember not to blow the grass or weed clippings onto sidewalks or streets. That creates a safety hazard. End of report.
Thank you, Scott. We'll move on to Public Safety. Trustee Gonzalez.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a couple things tonight, and I'm going to kind of echo what everybody else is saying to Chief about our 10 shared principles that we enacted a couple years ago. And from our conversation today, you had made mention that it is a statewide resolution, and we could pretty much formally adopt that as a resolution in the village. Mr. Larry, I wonder by the next meeting, could we officially have a whereas and a whereby official resolution to adopt these as a village? Do we need to take a consensus to see if the board agrees with that?
We could do that. Can we do a thumbs up again? Do you know what it's about?
Excellent. So then, because Illinois has adopted that and we are home rule, then we can make it part of our Village of Monee governance too, so we know that these 10 shared principles will be acted upon. Secondly, I wanted to kind of go on what you said about the Riverside testing for the COVID-19. Just so everybody is aware, not only does Riverside do it, but our Will County Health Department Monee branch on Monday mornings has a drive-through tent from 9 to 1 for the first 80 people. So, and you don't have to have symptoms to go to get a test. So I encourage everybody, if you are having symptoms, you can go on Monday or to Riverside, but at the Riverside facility, at the Will County Health Department facility, you don't need to be showing symptoms to get a test done. And they just ask you to bring your ID, and insurance is not needed. And the other thing too about COVID-19 is our phase 4, and obviously everybody in this room is adhering to our phase 4 and covering faces where it's signed in the businesses and everything. And I thank you from the bottom of my heart to everybody in the village who is adhering to these, because, and you can see every day that we are amidst this in the news, that there are so many states that aren't having an easy of a time. Not that this is easy on any of us, but we're doing far better than a lot of states right around us. So thank you all for doing that. End of report.
Thank you, Heidi. We'll move on to the attorney's report. Larry?
I have no report, Your Honor.
Okay. And we'll move on to old business. Is there any old business? If not,
Mayor, I want
Whoop.
to,
I saw you move forward, Janet.
I know.
didn't hear nothing.
I can't hear without my glasses on, that's the whole thing. So, we talked, I think it was at the last board meeting or the one before, about our support letter for the Devonshire. And we since then received further information. I think it was after our last meeting, we got further information. And we were going to, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, but we're going to discuss whether or not we wanted to leave that letter of support as is, or ask for a reversal or retrieve it, or however we're going to do that. I haven't yet been to see it. I have an appointment tomorrow with Scott. Scott and I are going to go see it tomorrow. I do know that members of the one member in particular, Judy O'Gala, went to see it, and she was absolutely in favor of it. But then she met with the residents the following day and really got to understand the impact of having this business on their doorstep. And she did a complete turnaround. She said, I can't support it for all sorts of reasons. And I was really surprised at that, because I know how much she did support in the beginning. So I don't want us to forget this. I'd like us to consider maybe tabling it again. I don't know if we need a vote on it, but tabling it again until we've all truly had time to take a look at it or read the document. I mean, I read the document, but I think seeing it is probably a great idea, because it's hard to imagine how close a business is to your backyard until you see it. And so I wanted just to suggest we might want to revisit this at the next meeting, after we've had a little more time to truly dig into the information and go see it.
Okay, Janet, I want to commend you on handling a very touchy item and bringing it back to the board, and we'll discuss it at the next meeting.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other old business? If not, we'll move on to new business. And David, I think that might be you. Oh, Larry, I'm sorry. Oh, you'll be the second one, I'm sorry.
Thank you, Mayor.
You betcha, Larry.
One item for the board's review and consideration. As the board recalls, when we had discussions with Gulfwood, there was a special use permit issue. One of the provisions was.
Thank you. One of the provisions was for a stormwater management agreement. We negotiated terms with ELS. I believe Jeff and DJ and Mr. Wallace have found it same to be acceptable. It gives us the right to ingress and egress in that facility, and it's a private facility, so that would help us out tremendously.
I believe the ELS has already signed off on it. It's up for the board's review, authorized the mayor to execute the same on behalf of the Village of Monee. At that point in time, once it's signed, it'll be recorded, so it'll be official with Will County.
Thank you, Larry.
Thanks, Larry.
We'll move on to the residential.
Do you need a if you're looking,
Motion to authorize.
Oh,
I'll
okay.
make that
I thought we
motion.
were gonna
I'll second the
discuss it at
motion.
the next meeting. Okay, could I have a motion on this, please?
We have a motion and a second.
Oh, okay. Any discussion? Well, looks like we don't have to have a meeting on that. Roll call, please.
Trustee Idris?
Yes.
Trustee Blue?
Yes.
Trustee Gonzalez?
Yes.
Trustee Horn?
Yes.
Trustee Razik?
Yes.
Trustee Wilson?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, Board. We'll move on to the residential utility bill credit.
Thank you, Mayor. If the board recalls, there has been some discussion of both online and offline regarding a possible utility bill credit. I just wanted to bring that up under new business. It's never been formally before the board here. And it's really a reminder if some action is to be taken by this board regarding a utility bill credit, then it is before you for discussion. Either this evening, certainly you can put it till next meeting. You cannot discuss it at all. It's whatever your pleasure is. I just didn't want that to fall by the wayside.
I'm sorry. What do you want?
Motion to approve this?
To prove it,
You want us to make a
To move
motion
forward?
of some kind?
Sure. Any questions, comments? What is the amount of the credit? And again, this is a residential utility bill credit.
Okay.
You know, there is I think that's appropriate that the public realize that the residential utility bill credit is approximately $20,000 for every $10 credit.
22,000, but that's all right.
So, you know, whatever the board's pleasure is, and let's not forget the intent that in every discussion that has been had offline by, you know, whether it's the mayor or one trustee or what have you, the intent has always been to show good faith and an effort for our residents to get back on track to some sort of normalcy and to help out with some costs that may have piled up during this COVID-19 event.
So, David, and your proposal here too, in covering what we did earlier in the meeting, if maybe we could put that as a bullet point too, and then do you want to say, you know, how much the credit is and how can we enact it on the bill that just came out July 1st?
I believe that if the board picks a certain amount that they would like to credit back on the residential utility bill, that would be a credit that would show up on the next water bill that went out.
And
It's for accounting purposes.
I
It
know
would
we've
be.
discussed it before on the amount,
Yeah.
and I think we're all in favor of the amount, so someone wishes to make a move, any other
agenda for the next meeting then, or can we?
No, let's get it done.
Can we make a motion and suggest an amount at the same time? I'm
Let's
sorry,
get it
Denisha.
done.
No, that's okay. I was saying it's already on the agenda, so you can actually make a vote. You just need to make sure that we clarify what the amount is to go along with that motion.
Yes.
And I wish we could do it this cycle. I think it should have been on this cycle, but can't. There's no way to, like, rerun them.
No, I think the bill's already run out.
Yes, I would like clarification on the amount. I don't recall that.
I believe we discussed $30.
$30 credit, yes.
I believe we discussed $30.
Which, so the residents know and the trustees, that'll cost us $66,000.
66,000, correct. Right.
So the amount may not seem high to you, but it's a minus on our budget. So,
Right.
but we're trying to do things to help us.
Right. Well, I would make a motion
I'll
to
second.
do a $30 credit on the next water bill
Okay.
for residents.
I'll second.
Michael, any discussion? Roll call, please.
Trustee Blue?
Yes.
Trustee Gonzalez?
Yes.
Trustee Horn?
Yes.
Trustee Razak?
Yes.
Trustee Wilson?
Yes.
Trustee Udris?
Yes.
Thank you, Board.
Thank you, Mayor. One other item that really can certainly come under new business, but in discussions with Diana Kroll, our Director of Parks and Recreation, the time and the window for hosting Fall Fest has come to a decision point, and in communication with the carnival operator and the way that Fall Fest is set up to draw people together, it is the determination of staff that it's better to cancel Fall Fest for this year and come back strong next year. So with that in mind, that is our intent. I don't know that it requires action, but it's certainly up for discussion. It's
So where are we in, we're in,
Phase 4.
in phase 4, thank you. And we have to be in phase 4 for 28 days, correct?
I believe the only way you get to phase 5 is with a vaccine.
28 days from 3 to 4.
Wasn't I thought there was another way to get to phase 5.
I thought didn't it have something to do with the number of coronavirus cases as well?
I don't think so.
Director Crowe?
Use the big one. There you go.
I received an email from Donnie Macy, who takes care of the carnival, and at this point, the state has not given out and has no timeline yet on when they're going to be able to give them their license to run right now. And as far as he believes, he's probably going to be canceling his season. So we don't have that part.
Right.
And then the rest of it comes within the concerns of organizing this within stage 4, phase 4.
Right. I'm in agreement that we cancel Fall Fest just because we want it to be great. We don't want it to be lackluster, and it's even if we were allowed to have the right number of people, we may not get the right amount of donations towards it. So I think there's going to be all sorts of effects on Fall Fest. I would, though, like us to consider, and I know we've talked about this really briefly, but I'd like us to consider smaller ways to celebrate with each other, smaller community gatherings that might be under 50. It can be something really simple, but I would like us to consider that because it is important to bring our community together, even if we have to limit the number. I mean, I was thinking of Doug's swing dance, and you could still do that and have a smaller band, which meant you'd have more people attend, and limit the number of people who would come. So, if we think outside of the Fall Fest box, we can do something, I'm sure. So I'd just like to throw that out there. So I think it's important to bring the community together to do that. Thanks, Dan.
I'd just like to defend Director Kroll. She's been banging her head against the wall trying to salvage this thing, and it's just beyond her control. The options and different, a lot of looking at what other towns are doing, moving in the park, transition to drive-in, just need the space. So there's a lot of things in the works. It's just that it's going to take a little bit of resources and time, and we were still trying to salvage to the fest. So everything was kind of hinging upon that. When we reached that breaking point, and we said, okay, due to the restraints of COVID, it's not going to happen. So now that we have to start looking outside the box and implementing those things, those backup plan A, B, C, D. So unfortunately, Fall Fest it's not going to happen, and so, but definitely there are things on the back burner that are going to be brought forward, and I have the utmost confidence in Director Kroll and that she's going to make those smaller events happen.
No pressure, though.
Yeah, no, none at all. And just like Poochapalooza, that was a hit, and we were kind of that was a first time, and one-off great hit. So there's a lot more coming. I'm excited, and just talking to her and throwing ideas and talking to her, picking her brain and see what's coming out. So I'd still be excited. We're going to try to salvage what we can out of the remainder of this year.
Yeah, I just would like us to be sure that, unlike some of the states that opened up, we know
Yeah.
what happened.
Yeah.
I mean, they're skyrocketing with this problem, so it's an unknown. So if the known comes out that it's going to be safe and we can pull something off, we'll do it, I'm
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you. Thanks, Dana.
Any other new business? If not, open to the public, non-agenda items. If you have something you'd like to say, please come forward. Give your name and address, sir.
My name is Ralph Dietz. My address is 24824 South Harlem Avenue. I adjoin Devonshire, and I noticed, I was on the line 2 weeks ago when you guys, approved the special, her whatever request. And I was wondering, what basis did you use to basically put it forward? Because since it's not the village of Monee, it is the township of Monee. What right do you have to vote on it? Is it the mile and a half thing?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so.
Yes, sir. The county land use department, county land use department notifies any municipality when there is a land use change or proposed within a mile and a half. And that's our planning jurisdiction, and that's why ourselves, as well as Frankfurt, were notified.
So you opted, last time you said you might be able to reverse it, and I'm assuming that everybody got the packet that I provided, and we'll read it and possibly reverse it sooner or later.
It's going to be considered. That's how we'll say it. We're not done.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
It is on the agenda for the next meeting.
Well, they're going to vote on the special use in a week.
Okay.
Oh.
And all we did, Mr. Beach, was offer a letter of support from the village of Monee.
And they brought it forth last night when they said that village of Monee approved the special use permit. And it
So
was
we
like,
have,
it was
we
a
have
fact.
that right, we have that right to do that, and we also have a right to.
Well, I thought that only.
Yeah, except we don't approve.
That
You are
a
correct.
Simple majority to a three-quarter majority.
Even so, we still have the ability to do so.
Okay.
You know, we, as a board, we got this documentation that Mr. Dietz, he gave it a copy to myself, he gave one to trustee Raycheck, and I know I brought this over, I brought my copy over on Thursday or Friday, following the last board meeting, so I know it's been in the boxes. I hate to see us kick it down the road another 2 weeks. I kind of feel, and I said this at the last meeting, that we only got one side of the issue when we heard the previous testimony, which was now a month ago. And, Mr. Dietz rang me up and told me the concerns of the planning and zoning in his township. And it was really enlightening because I had no idea that there was any pushback against this facility. So, I mean, we are aware of the concerns of many residents surrounding that. I don't know why we couldn't take a vote tonight on this.
The concern I would have, trustee Horn, from a legal standpoint, it is not on the agenda, and that's always an important factor. And when we approved or made a recommendation to approve the request, it was specifically on the agenda. You might, as an alternative, you might want to consider, it's just a thought, to write a letter to Will County saying that it's might be reviewed by the board at the next board meeting. So you're not saying yes, you're not saying no, but you put the village, you put the county board on notice, and, because we're not sure what the final action will be.
Can we say something to the effect that we have concerns over this project?
That would be, a board's call. I mean, I think the Will County would probably, it would probably be implied to the Will County Board that there are concerns by indicating that the board's going to take a further review of the application. Because concerns right now, to me, that's not of record, but if we do indicate that it's going to be up for the board's review and consideration for further analysis at the July 21st? 22nd?
Please come forward, sir, if you have something you want to say about this subject.
Yes, thank you.
It is open to the public, so.
Okay, thank you.
Could
I'm
you
Rick Rowe, I'm one of the abutting neighbors to Devonshire, and yes, we were at the hearing last night. There was a lot of weight carried from the decision made by the village of Monee, and that was the first thing right out that came to us. I understand, the thing is we had no knowledge to explain our side. I don't know if you know, we got petitions of 113 people, and we're more than welcome anybody here to come out and see. You have to see it. You can't really picture how close it is to the neighbors. I just measured it tonight on the way over. It's 80 feet from from the house, 50 feet from a guy's pool, the driveway, her property, 150 feet from Joe's garage. And then it's just not against of having an event place like that. It's just how it's trying to fit it into, when you talk about 10 acres, it's not a square. It's a long 10 acres, 300 foot wide, but 18, I think it's 16 feet long, 1,600 feet long. And it's actually about 2.5 to 3 acres is right where all the neighbors are at. 6 neighbors right there. Mariano would have been here. He has all of his animals and everything. The fence is right on the property line. There's always been some issues about people giving his animals food and stuff like that. Got them all goofed up with their health. And but anyway, you're more than welcome to come out. I think that's the best perspective you can see, because it's not really against having something like that, but we don't know if it fits right there. But you're more than welcome to come out. That's all I want. I think that does the best perspective.
Well, I have a comment before you leave. You said it's long and narrow.
Yes.
And then you're 80 foot from a house.
Yes.
And 50 foot from someone's pool?
50 foot from a pool, correct, sir.
So is the actual, where the event's held, at the end of the property from the homes? No.
Right next to them.
That's where the event will be, where the people will be.
Yes, also too, in the documentation, it's 160 pages, which I know is a lot. But there's planned to bring buses and have people, because the property where she's putting it at, there's not gonna be enough park. She wants to go up to, eventually get 250 people in there.
Sure.
And, and I think that the Township Commissioner, Dave, suggested to be a right-hand turn lane. It's a bad area. I don't know if you guys see over there, it's by Drawley and Harlem. And, but anyway, so it's just, if it was north of Drawley and the farm up there, who cares? You got plenty of room where it fits. She, prior to this, in Peatone, she had 20 acres in a commercial property. I don't know why she gave up on that. That seems like the best place to have it. But now she's trying to do this, and it's not on the whole 10 acres. It's basically compacted. I would say roughly, she says 5, probably about 4 acres, but and the house isn't in the middle of it. It's right up against that property line of 6 neighbors right there. Retired couple, well, you have to come out and see it.
Very good.
That's all.
Appreciate your input, though.
Well, thank you.
I really do.
Thank you.
I have a question. Can we, is it feasible for us to withdraw our letter of support until we've reviewed it?
The only concern I have, again, is not on the agenda, because when we approve the recommendation or it was specifically, I believe, on the agenda, and something like this to me, it's a major reversal. the Will County might ask, was it properly discussed before the board?
Right.
And it's not on, so
But,
that's,
but we're not really reversing it. We're withdrawing it so we can reconsider it. We might send it back and say we support it.
but by withdrawing it, I think that's a
That's-
reversal.
Taking action.
They're taking action on it, it's not on the agenda. That's why I thought a letter indicating there are concerns relative to this position.
Right.
And it would be brought up at the next board meeting. To me, the Will County Board will then understand there is some reservations from the board, otherwise why are we considering it? But I would not on the agenda, I would be careful, because Will County would say, was it properly presented before the board, and it wasn't.
So Larry, may I just say, school me for a second. When you brought up the motion about the gas tax. No, was it
Oh,
on the
Mr.
agenda?
Mayor.
Was it on the
Oh,
agenda?
Mr. Mayor.
Was it on the agenda?
I had it put on the agenda specifically.
Okay, all right.
We can discuss it after the meeting, though.
We had another incident like this, okay? Not quite as serious as yours.
Well, the thing of it is we are up against a permanent, she's looking for a permanent special use, and that's going to be decided on Tuesday. So that's why we're kind of up against the wall on this, and I understand, you had no knowledge, I totally get it. If we had any idea, we'd have been over here too, you know, we just couldn't. So I understand, we are kind of up against the wall on this.
From Will County? Yeah. Mr. Wallace brought up a good idea, like he usually does, right? In that letter, we could ask, and not only indicate that at the next board meeting, our board is going to revisit this issue. They have some concerns about it, and also respectfully request that they postpone that decision on Tuesday. And most of the times they will, if we were that important to them, hopefully they'll listen to us again and indicate, you know, we did have a meeting. We're requesting that they say continue it for at least 30 days. By that time, the board will consider that. We could have a resolution passed indicating a reversal, if that's what the board deems appropriate, get it to Will County. So we would ask twofold. One, to continue that hearing set for Tuesday, and also indicate that, you know, we are going to have it on the agenda for the next board meeting to discuss this in a more thoroughly.
That or else, I mean, something maybe too that, you know, is for review, and maybe send that so we could have the hearing. I mean, you know, right now it's like, what we went through last night was a definite, hey, we're all for it here in Monee, you know what I mean? And so I don't know, you know, I don't know the legalities, I'm not, you know.
But I think if we ask for the continuance, hopefully that will carry some weight, and also indicate it's on the agenda because we will need a basis in order for the board to say, why are we changing? Because, you know, 30 days, we voted in favor, now 30 days later, we're going to reverse it. So I think it's important to have the record straight why there's a basis. Because if Will County's already saying how important we got to show them why our decision is justified.
Thank you for the time, I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming this evening.
Okay, while we're in discussion of this, and I'll really throw something out there. You say Tuesday's the date, correct?
Yeah, Tuesday, they're voting on for the permanent special uses. And it's,
Do we want to have a special board meeting just on this subject prior to that date? Today is Wednesday.
Deal letter.
All right, you think Larry's would be strong enough?
I'll tell you, if you want to come out any day, anytime,
Yeah, and look at it, no?
and take a look for, you know, that way you can see it. Any day, you just name the time, and we'll be there. If you can do that before Tuesday, it'd be outstanding. And then whatever you guys think. If you want a couple of people-
Trustee Udis and I will be out tomorrow.
Tomorrow?
Oh, yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
About 7:30.
Yeah.
7:30 tomorrow?
Yeah.
Fantastic,
Mhm.
fantastic. Thank you. Thank you so much.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you.
Thank you.
I didn't get an answer to what I said.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I think we're talking about.
Sticking with the letter for now, under
Yeah.
recommendation of village.
Other words over here, is that what you want to do?
Yeah.
Okay? All right. No special meeting, we'll write the letter, get it to them prior to the vote. Okay. All right. We'll move on. Any other open to the public? Yes, sir.
Thank you guys for listening to us. I know that we're on the outskirts of Monee, but we do share the same town name for our mail. And my address is 7057 West Dralley Road, My name is Joe Portera. I actually am right behind her, and the back of my garage for my structure is 150 feet away from her lot line, where her driveway is and where all these vehicles will be driving in and out of. I am the only property where there is open space where I can actually physically see her with like two of those windows put together in 3 different sections. There's no buffer of any kind whatsoever. There's a couple of dead trees that she has as far as on top of a berm, but they're dead and they're bald. But as I was saying, I can see her from my back windows of my house where the bedrooms are on the 2nd story. There's already a lot of lights from headlights coming in and out. I don't know what's going on there. I'm pretty much of a quiet person. I don't pay attention. I never knew my neighbors until now, and I've been here 18 years. We live in the country and it's quiet. She claims that it's the country setting, but there's nothing country about bringing a banquet home converting a single-family residence to a banquet hall in the middle of a residential community. And that's it. I want to thank you guys. I trust you all to do the right thing, as you would do your own residents right here. And I appreciate all your time, and actually all of us do. Thank you so much.
Glad you feel that way, because that's what we're here for you.
And we appreciate it. Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other open to the public? If not, we'll move on to executive session to deal with 5 ILCS 120/2, parentheses C5, the purchase of lease of real property for the use of the public body. So I would like a motion to adjourn this meeting.
I'll make that motion.
Executive session. Roll call, please.
Trustee Gonzalez?
Yes.
Trustee Horn?
Yes.
Trustee Razik?
Yes.
Trustee Wilson?
Yes.
Trustee Udris?
Yes.
Trustee Blue?
Yes.
Thank you all for coming. I don't know how long we'll be. We could be a while. I have no clue.